Well, folks, Donald Trump is back at it again. Here's what you got to know for this week, coming to you from the Aloha area. Look at those beautiful tsunami warning sirens. Don't those look like some great 1960s metal, like something you'd find in a good juicy wedge deal? Yes, they certainly do. Okay, let's talk about what to expect this week. First of all, thank you so much to all of those of you who signed up to the Meet Kevin membership on Friday. We had a really great day, great call-outs. The call-outs killed it, and I think y'all saw that, and so a ton of you joined on Friday, so welcome aboard. Tomorrow is going to be really interesting because, honestly, we got some more taco this weekend, okay? Not only a Donald Trump, Maria Bartiromo interview, which obviously they're very friendly. You get the softballs over on Fox, duh. And so what do we got? We got not only Trump talking during that interview that, hey, you know, we're going to try to work something out on soybeans. It's hurting the American farmers. We want to walk back some of these latest restrictions with China. For example, the United States imposed a $50 per ton port fee on Chinese ships. And then China retaliated. It's like, fine, we'll impose a $56 port fee per ton for U.S. ships coming into our docks, and we're going to increase it over 3 years. So it's this classic kind of tit-for-tat nonsense, right? It's really ridiculous. But the Wall Street Journal this weekend had a great piece. They said that in recent weeks, Donald Trump has exempted dozens of products, offering to carve out hundreds more from farm and airline products, offering 5-year exemptions to auto import tariffs. And this is especially happening for products that we don't produce domestically. So what you're finding is you're getting more and more taco, and now people are reporting on it because this is all happening quietly in the background. This is Donald Trump's MO. I mean, this is exactly what we saw with Liberation: is come out strong. I'm gonna do this. Or tariff everybody 50%, and then you just slowly walk it back, like, all right, well, if you do this for me, you know, I'll roll this back. I'll roll this back. I'll roll this. This is Donald Trump's style of negotiating. It's fine. You create chaos, and you purposely make it so confusing so you can pick up the pieces the way you want, right? Like, how do we keep track of all this stuff? How do we keep track of, you know, upholstered furniture tariffs, or, you know, heavy truck tariffs over a certain weight, or kitchen cabinets and vanities? Like, all of this is designed to purposefully negotiate with very specific countries. Donald Trump, of course, already credits ending, like, the drama, for example, between Pakistan and India and others. He credits tariffs for helping him use that as leverage to go, hey, I'll just back off these tariffs if y'all stop fighting. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's easy. So you got to give him some credit with this. But the headline, in case you want to read the story, it's a good one. The U.S. is tiptoeing away from many of Trump's signature tariffs. And I thought that was a great headline because it implies that quiet walk back, that taco is continuing. If you go to meetkevin.com/data, I still have the taco scale there from last week. And we have the taco scale in like the 8 range. Honestly, if I were to update it today, I'd probably update it, you know, probably to something like a 9 out of 10, because any kind of new tariff we get, it just tacos away, which is great. Now, something that I was a little disappointed in was, you know, Trump with Ukraine. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I was also a little bit disappointed with, you know, Hamas now says that 27 Palestinians have been killed. Israel is saying, well, you know, people are getting close to our you know, pullback lines, and so they're going to erect larger barriers to make it very clear where their pullback lines are. But I do want to finish this China talk. So Trump right now, he's focused more on using the 232 tariffs, mostly because of the Supreme Court IEEPA ruling. Don't expect the Supreme Court to say anything, by the way, on Trump's tariffs until as late as they possibly can. So you're going to hear talk about how the Supreme Court is supposed to review Trump's tariffs, the Emergency Economic Powers Act tariffs, in November. Yes, the Supreme Court is going to hear that, but don't actually expect any kind of decision until probably February to April. I would guess the later part, because the Supreme Court doesn't want to do anything bad to Trump. So, and in the meantime, Trump is slowly going to move away to 232 tariffs. So even if he loses the IEEPA tariffs, he could just rely on 232. I mean, this is just part of the game, right? So anyway, lots of taco, which is good. We also saw LED lights, certain minerals, and like gold were exempted from tariffs. Slow walk away from a lot of the various different tariffs that we have, which is great. I mean, it's broadly bullish. I was disappointed. I'll make a separate video on this. I was disappointed on the Ukraine issue. So I do think, honestly, one of the benefits, just briefly, I don't want to go so deep on this. I'm going to get back to the ocean here. But one of the benefits of giving tomahawks to Ukraine is they have 1,000-mile range. And you could overwhelm Russian defenses, not to go strike the Kremlin or go kill, civilians, which is exactly what Russia is doing to Ukrainian civilians, but take out the drone factory. That's literally about 980 miles from Kiev. It's close. It's like 800 miles from the border of Ukraine, but Ukraine doesn't control that border anymore. This is why Putin wants time, because the more time Putin buys, the more he kind of pushes the Ukrainians back, the more of a buffer zone he gets, the more time they have to identify with radar and otherwise missiles coming in, like Tomahawks. And so, of course, if you take Tomahawks, you're going to have to overwhelm Russian air defenses. But ideally, you want to take out these Iranian factories, or, jointly built between Russian and Iranian factories, and just set back some of Russia's ability to attack Ukraine. And that way you could slowly tilt the balance back in favor of Ukraine, pushing back some of these lines. That's the idea with these Tomahawks, by the way. And so I was a little disappointed. I feel like Putin kind of won there by talking that back. But we could talk about that separately. Broadly, we do have Tesla earnings coming up. This Wednesday. That'll be interesting. I know a lot of people are excited about that because we're going to get a lot of earnings from an amazing beat on vehicles. But are we really expecting a lot of enthusiasm post those earnings? Post those earnings is all come down to sort of commentary in the earnings call. Nobody really cares about the earnings. We already know what deliveries are. We know what the earnings are going to be like. We can all calculate that in. That's not where the surprise is going to be. We need to hear bullish stuff on Optimus or a new lower cost vehicle or whatever, FSD, robo-taxis, whatever. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be the place for announcements. We know that. But what we want to look for is just optimism and hope. Look at Figure, for example, Figure Technologies. They've got like 2 robots working at BMW. And the joke is those robots don't really do anything, but they're a great showpiece because Figure can say, hey, we've got robots working in BMW's factory. And, people have leaked that those robots aren't really doing anything productive. They're really just like caged off, and it's a joke that they don't really do anything. But it creates enthusiasm and excitement. You're really not going to get true progress on these robots validated until a company comes in and says, oh, we're ordering 1,000 of these. That's when you know you have validation, right? Until then, you're still early on the robot movement, which is fine. X is launching handles for sale. We know that X needs money. Donald Trump says tariffs are unsustainable at these levels. That's old news. That was from Friday. Palantir supports providing Tomahawk. Palantir CTO supports, what was this? Palantir CTO. Oh, that's right. U.S. is funding its own destruction through economic dependence on communist adversaries. Right. This is basically saying, hey, we need to maximize our domestic resilience, which I support. I just want to be really clear about that. We should have domestic resilience. We should be supporting our rare earths facilities. But we have to be careful, because if we take a Besant approach and we set price floors, what we really create is inefficient industries. See, China is brilliant in the sense that they have so many people manufacturing that they drive prices down, not through price floors, maybe through subsidies for those businesses, yes. But the price of manufacturing comes down so dramatically that they just dominate compared to other countries. The costs are so low. And so if we set price floors artificially out here, as soon as things relax over time with China, we'll just go right back to ordering from China. And that hurts our ability to be dependent again, or independent again. And so we have to be careful that we're not relying on sort of short-termism to make ourselves faux independent. In other words, let me give an example. If I go to you and I'm like, hey, can you sell lemonade and I'll pay you $100 per cup? Of course, you could employ 5 people to stand there and sell 1 cup of lemonade. Doesn't matter. You're still going to drive a profit because you're selling it for $100 a cup, which is insane. So of course you're going to breed inefficiency. Whereas, China's probably selling these cups for $1. And their, cost of goods sold is 50 cents. So as soon as you take away the government crutch, the U.S. companies relying on this higher price, the Chinese are relying on this lower price, who goes bankrupt, right? That's where you have to be careful with price floors. So really backwards mindset here from Besant. But that's just talk from him right now, so maybe it won't end up coming through. But I will say all of it is supportive, really, of Taco. This idea of, hey, we're going to We see problems we're creating here. We're going to slowly walk some things back, which is great, which is an opportunity. And I'm kind of optimistic. We do have CPI coming out this week, but it's not until Friday. So are we really expecting terrible news this week? No, but we'll see. You know, so far we're just getting the walk back from Trump. We'll get CPI on Friday. Not expecting bad news there. And hey, we'll be sending out reports. I don't know if I'll be live too terribly much, given that I'm here in Hawaii and it's like 3 a.m. is like 6 a.m. my time. 3 a.m. here is like 9 a.m. Eastern. So it's gonna be a little crazy. But we will still be sending out the Alpha report and we'll still be live with course members. So good luck this week and stay tuned for videos. Make sure you download the Meet Kevin app to get all the notifications. See you there. Bye.